Hi guys, welcome to the Wrestling Retrospective, and this is the Wrestling Revisit, where in today's video I will be reviewing AEW All Out 2021. So to start off, Miro successfully defended the TNT Championship against Eddie Kingston in what was a decent match. You could see this was like Miro's biggest challenge for the title to date. I liked how both are like big men, but Kingston was going for the more striking style of match, whereas Miro was going for a more traditional powerhouse route. But they both meshed really well throughout the match, which made it way more enjoyable. Miro controlled the match for the most part. It was definitely his match to lose. Personally, I don't like Eddie Kingston's no-selling. Like, it's okay at points, but sometimes it's just a little bit much. Especially when like he's so good at selling as well. It's like I'd much rather him just sell it and then like find enough within him to recover rather than him just completely no-sell. But the moment that Eddie got the Hurricane into the DDT, I honestly thought that would have been it. Obviously with Miro's at the time neck made of sand, which was quite a funny storyline, but you know, that's what it was. That's the way they went with it. But yeah, I feel like Miro winning the match with 2 thrust kicks probably could have been it. Like, he probably could have pinned him straight after that and it would have been like done with the match. But the fact that he went for the game over and Kingston passed out made him look strong in defeat, which is always a good thing when your opponent looks good even though they lose. Yeah, it's a shame that like Miro kind of fell off the way he did. The whole feud with God, I very much enjoyed in AEW, though I am very glad he is in WWE now, and hopefully he'll get kind of the push that he should have got in AEW and in WWE the first time now, but that remains to be seen. But yes, it was a pretty decent match to start the show off. After that, we had Jon Moxley defeat Satoshi Kojima. Sorry about that. First off, I didn't know anything about New Japan going into this event. I don't really know that much now, but I'm trying to watch it a little bit more. So sorry if I don't really talk about Kojima that much. But one of the things, like, this was the pay-per-view that started me off watching AEW, like I've said, and Moxley's kind of feud and obsession with wanting to face New Japan wrestlers is one of the things that kind of hooked me on AEW at first, as I like seeing like all these new wrestlers coming over from New Japan, or new to me wrestlers. But yeah, the match itself, yeah, it was pretty decent. It was a solid match. It wasn't the best match on the card, but it wasn't close to being the worst match either. I thought Moxley was in good shape then, but then now he looks even better. Like, you can tell that like he's kind of sorted himself out since then. Obviously we know that he's been through a load of stuff and all that, but yeah, I'm just saying like he looks generally really good here. I like how Kojima like kind of did his own work on Moxley, like escaping the Bulldog choke and stopping the Paradigm Stiff multiple times throughout the match. But yeah, Moxley getting the win here made the most sense, obviously with it being an AEW show and Kojima coming over from New Japan. But as I said, at the time, I didn't know anything about New Japan, but Minoru Suzuki coming out at the end and Moxley's reaction alone to that is like something that made me kind of realize just how much of a big deal Suzuki is, and it kind of stuck with me. Like when I see Suzuki come out, like when he came out to face Jack Perry, that felt like a big moment, and I knew it was a big moment because of this one here. But yes, for first time viewers, Moxley sold it really well about how much of a threat Kojima is, not Kojima, Suzuki is, and yeah, they kind of beat the shit out of each other, and then like having Suzuki stand tall over Moxley, I felt like was a big deal to have on this show, especially when newer viewers were going to be tuning into AEW. Following that, we had Britt Baker successfully defend the AEW Women's World Championship against Kris Statlander. And yeah, kind of a quick story. When I was getting into AEW, I heard beforehand that there's a women's wrestler who's an alien. And yeah, I was majorly intrigued by that. So for me, Statlander challenging on the first pay-per-view that I saw, yeah, it was kind of like so what I really enjoyed about it. And like one of the things I was like, because I was so curious about Statlander, it kind of made it even better for me to watch. But yeah, I've been a fan of Statlander since this match all the way to now. I think she's arguably one of the better women's wrestlers on the roster for AEW that hasn't been a world champion, and she is fully deserving of that honor. But yeah, the match itself, in my opinion, if you take away the kind of bloody and extreme and weapons matches that the women have had, such as, you know, Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker Toni Storm and Mariah May recently. For me, from a purely wrestling standpoint, this is the best women's match in AEW history. And I'm willing to die on that hill. I know there's been some absolutely fantastic matches since then. Mercedes Moné and Willow comes to mind. Moné and Statlander from Full Gear or World's End comes to mind. But for me, this is just fantastic in every way. There isn't enough kind of positive stuff I can say about this match. But yeah, I'd say the chemistry between Baker and Statlander was shown really well here. It's a shame that they actually didn't meet that often again, if at all, again after that. But yeah, the kind of the dynamic of the match worked really well as far as like the stronger, like bigger woman going into the match was the babyface, and the heel having to overcome that in Britt Baker being the smaller woman they kind of played those roles really well. Baker, like, they got Statlander down in really unique ways, and yeah, throughout the matches between both women there was just seamless transitions. And yeah, the wrestling was really fluid throughout in this one. Statlander looked strong in defeat with a stomp, then the Pittsburgh Sunrise, and then passes out in the lockjaw. I thought was really smart. And yeah, I'd say everything about this match worked really, really well for me. It got me hooked on how good of a wrestler Britt Baker is, and showed me just how great Statlander is as well. After that, we got the Lucha Bros defeating the Young Bucks to become the new World Tag Team Champions in a steel cage match. And this is such a bloody good match, no pun intended. WWE are very lucky to have the Lucha Bros because I cannot say enough good about the Lucha Bros. They're one of the teams that got me back into tag team wrestling in AEW, as well as like Jurassic Express, the Young Bucks, just to add a couple more in. But yeah, these are arguably two of the best teams in wrestling history, let alone wrestling now and back then. But yeah, the synergy between these teams, just to begin with, is such a good watch, and it's why it's why like I really got back into tag team wrestling, as I've said. But yeah, the Bucks controlled the match for the first half, I'd probably say. But yeah, I really liked like the innovative offense between the Bucks and the Lucha Bros. The way that Penta and Phoenix got busted open is absolutely brutal, with the thumbtack trainer to the head and all that kind of stuff, and the way that Penta went to like sacrifice himself over Rey Fenix, even though Rey Fenix got fucked up anyway. But no, yeah, this was just fantastic. All four men trading blows near the end of the match was a really good way to set up the finish of the match, when they were super kicking each other and roundhouse kicking each other, and yeah, just doing all the same moves over to each other, kind of in a circle in the center of the ring, when like the Penta and Phoenix are bleeding out. Still being able to do that is just incredibly impressive. Yeah, the jump off the cage is awesome, and yeah, that probably should have been the finish of the match. I know they did a couple more moves afterwards and then got the finish, but yeah, this is a great match. Honestly, I'd go check it out, like even on YouTube, go find the highlights. It's absolutely fantastic and really give you a sense of like just how good both tag teams are, but especially the Lucha Brothers. And yeah, I think like for me, this is one of, if not my favorite match in AEW history. I thought it was like so cool, and to put this on like a pay-per-view again, like I was saying for Moxley and Kojima, where you're going to be getting a lot of first-time watchers. This was brutal, and kind of I bet they got a lot of long-serving fans like myself out of this match. Following that, we have the Women's Casino Battle Royal, which was won by, of course, Ruby Soho. This was the weakest match on the card. It had the feeling of like it was only on the main show because of the Ruby Soho debut. Some notable names were in the match. For example, Jade Cargill. They maybe want to look at that undefeated streak that she had for so long. I think it was, 63-0 for her when she lost in this Battle Royal. Kylie King, who is a great member of TNA now. I know she's been injured for a while recently, but before she got injured, she was absolutely brilliant in TNA. So yeah, it was weird to see her here. I didn't realise she was actually in this match. But as a Battle Royal, it was fine. It's hard to have a bad Battle Royal, especially like in the moment when you're watching it live. But when you don't know who's in it and there's kind of that unpredictability to it, I mean, we knew some of the people that were in it because they're on the graphic, but we didn't know everyone. And yeah, it kind of, I don't know, it's kind of hard to have a bad Battle Royal match when, you know, you know, when it's like when you're doing stuff similar to the Royal Rumble, is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, it's a shame that Ruby Soho like couldn't really win anything big after this. You know, she lost the women's title match against Britt Baker. She lost TBS title matches against Chris Statlander and others, I believe. She was in the final of the Owen Hart tournament. She's been in the finals of the first ever TBS championship match. But like, I genuinely thought the way that she was being treated on this pay-per-view that she would go on to be a massive star in AEW. But yeah, that simply just wasn't the case. And now, you know, she's had a kid, and you know, can't remember the last time she even wrestled on AEW television, which is fair enough because, yeah, she really got shafted in my opinion because, you know, she was set up to be one of the main faces of the AEW's women's division, and yeah, they just did nothing with her. After that, we had Chris Jericho defeat MJF in what was like the last match of their feud, or the final call. I've forgotten what they officially called it, but it was their last match of their feud. And yeah, this match was really good, though MJF MJF can have a good match with anyone, really. But maybe this would have been a bit better if the whole, like, if Jericho never wrestles for AEW again stipulation wasn't there, because then it wouldn't have been really clear that Jericho definitely wasn't losing this match. But yeah, the original loss with the foot on the ropes and the referee coming back out to inform Aubrey Edwards that Jericho's foot was on the ropes was good, but it's only good if you're consistent with that rule all the time, which of course in wrestling they are not. It just kind of shows, like, it gave the drama of the match what it needed, especially watching it in the moment. But yeah, watching back and like knowing how the result goes, it's kind of takes away from it a little bit, because they didn't have to do this, and they could have just had Jericho beat the crap out of MJF and then have a really great match, and then Jericho gets the win to a big ovation. But you know, that's kind of how things go initially. Like, you've got to think that, like, as soon as the match is restarted, you know Jericho is 100% going to win, which again, as I said, kind of takes away from the match. But yeah, I'm glad they didn't do a straightaway roll up like they sometimes do, though MJF tapping I feel like was a bad decision. I feel like just a normal pin after a Judas effect would have been a lot better, you know, because MJ, and especially someone like MJF tapping, kind of made him look kind of weak. But yeah, I said overall it was a great match. It's just the ending and the kind of two closing stages kind of took away from it a little bit, in my opinion. Following that, we had the highly anticipated CM Punk defeating Darby Allin, and yeah, this match didn't really deliver for me. I know that this might be controversial in some people's eyes, but yeah, this was one of the more weaker matches on the card, in my opinion. You know, looking back, I feel like that's more on Punk than it is Darby. You know, in my opinion, Punk only really had one great classic, you know, good old CM Punk match in AEW, and that was the dog collar match with MJF. But yeah, I don't know whether it was because Darby was kind of too quick for Punk, or whether the chemistry was just off as opponents. As tag partners, they were actually really good. But yeah, just this match just didn't seem to click, in my opinion. And yeah, it was just a bit of a letdown considering the absolute massive hype and build-up there was behind it. It just kind of wasn't anything of what I expected it to be. But yeah, to say it was, I don't know, they were never ever going to like have Punk come in and lose either. Like, this was his big return after 7 years away. So again, that kind of takes away from the match, in my opinion, when you can kind of see how predictable it really is. You know, as I said, Darby was 100% losing here. We know that Darby can lose and recover from a loss pretty quickly. And as I said, yeah, Punk was never, ever in a million years going to lose this match, being his first one back. And it would have been actually more ballsy, and probably made Darby even more of a star if they had him win here. After that, we had Paul White defeat QT Marshall, and well, you see what I did there? How do I put this? It was shit. It was very clear they needed something to go on between Punk and Darby, and then the main event. This is what they decided to put on so people could go for a piss and go and get a drink and get some food and just recover between matches. And yeah, this was what they put out. It was a squash match. It was crap. There was, yeah, it was very clear why this was here. I almost just didn't include it in this whole thing because there's no point. But yeah, no, this was just an awful match. But, you know, it was always going to be, so And finally, in the main event, we had Kenny Omega successfully defend the AEW World Championship against Christian Cage. And yeah, this was a really decent match. Cage took risks very early on, and they had a unique table spot, so kind of no lockups, and a very untraditional way to start a match, especially like the main event match and these caliber of wrestlers, not superstars. Yeah, fair play for Omega, who did the moonsault off the barricade, even though he slipped beforehand. He kind of repositioned himself and got it right, and yeah, it was really good. I thought that Christian, I don't know, it kind of, as Christian is the more experienced superstar, I assumed they were going to have a Christian Cage style of match, but no, fair play. Christian Cage wrestled a Kenny Omega match. He was taking quite pretty decent bumps as well. Like, he was doing high risk stuff, and he was like really keeping up with the pace of Omega, who maybe was slowing down a little bit, but like not to a point where it was obvious that he was like slowing down for Christian. Christian took, say, even more risks, but it kind of didn't work out because Omega pretty much controlled the match for the most part. Yeah, fair play to Kenny Omega, who is stronger than I always give him credit for. I always look at Kenny and think, oh, he's not that strong, but he did almost deadlift Christian Cage, so, you know, fair play to him on that one. Both guys, like, their finishes work out really well, so the transitions between counters for going for their finishes work out really well, because if, like, for example, Omega goes for the one-winged angel, Christian can slip back and set up for the kill switch, but then, you know, Omega can counter back and get him up for the one-winged angel, which they did, I think, once during the match, and it looked really fluid and really solid, and it really helped out the match as far as like the kind of that stage of the match where they're kind of trying to go for as many finishes as they can, and you say both of them are failing. Both of them are failing at the time. But yeah, Cage in the finish. Cage knows better than to be distracted by Don Callis. This then set up the so there, my god, I'm losing my train of thought here. So then it set up really well for when Christian, it gave Omega enough time for Christian to go up for an unprettier, it's not the unprettier, it's the kill switch. I've been watching too much Chelsea Green recently, and yeah, he went for the kill switch off the top rope. Omega, again, because of the finishers, seamlessly transitions into the one-winged angel off the top rope. And yeah, I think it was a good way to look Christian look strong in defeat, as far as like taking the avalanche one-winged angel. And yes, as much as as good as this match was, it was Kenny Omega's to lose. He controlled the match for the majority of the fact. But yeah, Christian and Omega both looked really good here. And yeah, this then led to Omega kind of cutting a promo after the match, just after they had attacked Christian, or the Elite that is. So the Bucks came out, Gallows and Anderson came out, and yeah, they started attacking Christian. Jurassic Express came out to try and save them. They got beaten up as well, and then we hear Adam Cole's music hit. Crowd goes wild, and what was a great moment within itself. Adam Cole then turns out to be on the side of the Elite, because of course he is. He's literally one of them. He's one of the reasons why he's such a popular wrestler now, is because of the Elite. So yeah, it made absolutely perfect sense that he would join along with them. It made even more sense when they went after Jungle Boy again, and Bryan Danielson's music hits, or as we then know him as Daniel Bryan, when the kind of, not the exact music of his WWE stuff hits, but a slightly different version into a new theme hit. The crowd went even more wild, and yeah, we saw like one of the biggest moments of that year of AEW history in the debuts of Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson. And yeah, it's kind of one of the things that makes this pay-per-view one of, if not the best pay-per-view in AEW history. And yeah, just an absolutely awesome way to finish out the show. So those are my thoughts and opinions on All Out 2021. Do put down in the comments below your thoughts on the show, what you enjoyed the most about the show, and yeah, any other pay-per-views you'd like me to revisit in the future. The next one, I think, is going to be NXT TakeOver New Orleans, my personal favourite NXT TakeOver. I absolutely love that show, but that's probably going to be the next revisit that I do, along with the revisit I did earlier this month on Backlash 2004. But yeah, do put down in the comments any pay-per-views you'd like me to revisit in the future. As I say, I'm sticking from around like 2001 to around nowadays, but kind of avoiding the pandemic era. But yeah, so do put down in the comments below some suggestions, what you thought of the show. Do like the video if you're enjoying these revisits and kind of retro reviews, if you will. And yeah, so do leave a like on the video, do share, do subscribe, stick around for a lot more wrestling content coming up. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.